So I'm so honored and blessed to have with me today Neale Donald Walsch. He is the writer of several books about spirituality and awakening. He's a New York Times bestseller of a 9-book series called Conversations with God. I had the honor and privilege back in 1998 to travel all through Egypt for 3 weeks with him and a group of people from all over the world praying for world peace during the millennium. My family and my friends begged me not to go. They thought I was going to die on the plane ride over, especially my grandmother had never left the US. And it was such a powerful journey. And what I loved, Neale, about you the most was not only your authenticity, but your humor and always cracking these really great jokes. So thank you. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, you're very kind, and thank you for those very sweet words. I don't know that it's an honor to be with me, but I appreciate that you've said that. I like to tell people that I'm not any different in any way from anyone else. So if it is experienced as an honor to be with me, then let me be real clear that it's also an equal honor to be with you. You know, if we understood on this planet that it's an honor to be in the presence of everyone, that every human being and every sentient being in the cosmos is a representation, that is a representation of divinity, that we are really connecting with and interacting with another individuation of God. In that sense, of course, it would be an honor to be with anyone and everyone, even those people with whom we may disagree politically or socially or spiritually. It doesn't matter. They're no less an honorable person, no less an individuation of divinity than are we. So thank you for that sweet introduction. And please know that I feel exactly the same way about being here with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Neale. So I wanted to tell you and everyone that's listening that I'm putting this summit together, and it's about the goddess. And I made a very firm line in the sand that I wasn't going to have any men on the summit, that it was going to be all female. And there's a reason why you put a line in the sand, because the water comes and washes it away, right? So that same day, I had a soul client, a very dear, beautiful, beautiful man, send me an email about how he felt this rejection from God. And, this anger that I think a lot of people right now are feeling with the pandemic and everything that's going on. They feel a bit of this rejection and this separation from God. And then my heart went, oh, I can't leave men out of the equation. I have to have men part of this summit. I don't want them to get left behind. And I was weeping. And then I got your email from your lovely assistant saying, Neale would love to be part of your summit. And, immediately that line in the sand was completely gone. And I just thought it was really interesting that I get an email, rejection from God, and now conversation with God. So I do feel that this is an alignment and meant to be. And I am feeling a full circle from that time that we had in Egypt as well. And now here we are connecting. I'm in Sweden, you're in the US. And I think there's no mistake or no coincidence. I think this is meant to be.
Clearly, it is meant to be, because it is. And all things that are clearly are meant to be, or they would not be.
Wonderful. Yeah, beautiful. And I woke up at 3 a.m. after I said, oh my goodness, okay, we're doing this. This is happening. This is the next step. And then I thought, conversations with the goddess. So here we are, conversations with the goddess, conversation with the God. And I'd love to know What does the goddess mean to you?
You know, there's no difference between the goddess and the god. Those are just words that we have made up. There is only a single source and a single essence and a single reality. And that reality does not have a gender. It does not have genitalia. It does not have other identifying markings. It does not have characteristics that are associated only and solely with one particular sex and not the other. I think it's important, at least in my understanding, I could be wrong about all of this, but in my understanding, there is only one thing. All things are one thing, and all things are part of the one thing there is. But we have a tendency, when I say we, I mean humanity. Human beings, by and large, have a tendency, a predilection, I almost might say a need to somehow separate and somehow self-identify as part of this group and not that group. And so it's us and them, not necessarily us against them. There's a lot of that going on, but at the very least, it's us and them, as opposed to just us and us. So when you ask me, what does the goddess mean to me? What the goddess means is that there is a fullness and a richness to divinity itself that includes every conceivable aspect of life and love. Those aspects that human beings tend to identify with the feminine energetic, and those aspects that human beings tend to identify with the masculine energetic, as well as those aspects that we can't even find a way to identify with because we don't fully understand the energetic itself, which is, of course, the energetic of pure love. Pure love requests, asks for, hopes for, wants, needs, and of course demands nothing at all in return. So whenever we try to somehow define God with certain characteristics, to say nothing of certain genders, I think that we in that moment limit the limitless. And that demonstrates in my world a massive misunderstanding. One day I'm going to write a book titled The Massive Misunderstanding. And the massive misunderstanding is that there's more than one of us, and that somehow we are so different that we have differing characteristics that make us unique in the sense that there's nothing else like us, when in fact we are all one. And in that sense, we are all very much alike, although we are individuated. So I'm sorry to give you a 20-minute answer to your 30-second question, but I don't see the goddess as being anything separate from or other than the God or the one, the essence, the essential essence, the prime source, or if I could get a bit poetic, that which is. The goddess is that which is. And if it serves people to think of that which is in a particular way, we've been doing that for centuries, for millennia on the planet. We've been thinking of God in a particular way. No, it's a Christian God. No, it's a Muslim deity. No, it's a Buddhist essence. No, it's a Jewish, whatever. No, it's female. No, it's male. Excuse me. There is no thing in particular that it is, given that it is all that is. And that's my perhaps unexpected answer to your question.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you.
I just talked myself off of your entire program.
No,
I
you
will no
haven't. No, you haven't. Oh, I love it. I love it. So my next question was, and you did kind of touch upon that already, is about the healing of the divine feminine and the healing of the divine masculine. So just was wondering what your take on that is. You know, there's a lot of talk right now about the healing of the divine masculine and the healing of the divine feminine.
I don't know what that means. Talk about the healing of the divine masculine and the healing of the divine feminine, I'm not quite sure what that means. I don't mean to be a troublesome guest. I don't mean to be a problematic person, but the divine does not need healing in any way. Now, if you mean healing of the thought that people hold, if you mean healing of the attitudes and the energies and the tendency that human beings embrace and project, that's another matter. If you said to me, Neale, what is your feeling about the healing of people or their attitudes and ideas about the divine feminine and the divine masculine, we can talk about that. But when you talk about the healing of the divine male, the healing of the divine feminine, the divine does not need healing in any way.
Yeah.
But boy, does the human species need healing, in the sense that if we want to move forward in our evolutionary process, it would be beneficial for us to heal the wounds that we have self-inflicted by the ideas that we have allowed ourselves to embrace and to imagine are real, such as the idea that there's a masculine and a feminine God, to say nothing of all the other ideas that human beings have inflicted upon themselves about life in general, about who and what God is, and most importantly, about who and what they are. There's where the healing needs to occur, in my opinion. We are invited by life to heal the idea that most human beings have about who they are, about who they are in relationship to each other, about who they are in relationship to the experience we call life, and of course about who they are in relationship to that energetic that we call divinity. That's what needs healing, in my experience. And so I've spent the past 25 years of my life writing books. I've published 39 books. My latest book is just coming out, called The God Solution, which is the solution to the challenges that are being faced by humanity because of their self-inflicted wounds. So I think we have this opportunity in front of us. How do we heal our thought about who we are and why we're here and what is really going on? And what is the presence that we call God? What is all that about? And what is its purpose, if it has any purpose in our lives? These are the topics that, if we explore them deeply, could shift the reality of the entire human race, and do it virtually overnight. But very few people are talking about these kinds of things. So I'm glad that you have this program, this event that you're offering to people, to not even see if anybody agrees with the things that I'm saying, but at least to open their mind to the possibility. Wait a minute. Is it possible, just possible, that there's something we don't fully understand here about God, about life, and about ourselves, the understanding of which would change everything? If that's possible, of course, there are those who say, no, it's not possible. Neale, it's all right there. It's all in the scriptures. It's all in the books. It's all in the teachings. It's all in the messages. Neale, there's nothing we don't understand. We understand it completely. But if we think that it's possible, just possible, that there may be some data missing, that there's more to know about all of this, if we think that's just possible, then we're in the right place by being in this program right now. Because it's my hope that when this summit, when this program is complete, it will contain a wide variety of ideas, understandings, and expressions that each of us can explore deeply, and then at last go within and find the wisdom, the clarity, and the answer that is true for us, deep within us, to be your own authority in the matter. That's the opportunity that we have extended before us right now by programs just as the one you're producing. So thank you for what you're doing, because you're placing in front of all of us the grandest opportunity that human beings could embrace the opportunity to understand.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think it's really important that all voices are heard. And I love that you honor that and include that. Because in fact, if we are all God, all of our voices are important.
That would be profoundly true and profoundly misunderstood by many, many people. So let us open the gates, open the floodgates, if you please, and let us be flooded by all the great thoughts and all the great ideas and all the great insights of all the great people, which includes you and me and all those who are participating in this program. Let's make sure to include ourselves in that group of great people and then come to the greatest understanding about who we really are, each of us individually, and why we're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're all pieces of God. If we're all one, we're all important, and we're all multifaceted. I love that. I love that, Neale. So my next question for you is, what does the awakening mean to you? You know, there's a lot of talk of the awakening and that we're moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension and that everyone is waking up to...
Well, yes, please go ahead. Everyone's waking up to what?
To the oneness and to the realization that in fact we are all God.
That is, in fact, what the awakening means to me. I think you've just articulated it perfectly. And so I'm just going to copycat what you just said. The awakening is, in fact, that experience of sentient beings on this planet becoming increasingly aware of their true identity and of their life purpose. That is, even if we are each of us individuations of divinity, why are we here? What is the point of life on earth if we are each individuations of divinity? So I think the awakening is a moment where we are invited and excited and ignited to expand our questioning and our answering to life's most profound inquiries. Fundamentally, what is this all about? Why are we here? And what's the purpose and the point of all of it? You know, it's really sad. When I was a young boy, I was taught by my culture that, you know, increasingly as I moved into my teenage years, and 14, 15, 16, 17, that the purpose of my life, basically, or at least the plan, was to get the girl, get the car, get the job, not necessarily in that order. My dad taught me the other way around: get the job, then get the car, then get the girl, then maybe get the spouse, and then get the house, and then get the kids, and then get a better job, and get a better house, and get a better car, and get a better spouse, and get a better spouse, and get a better spouse. Then get the office in the corner with your name on the door. Then get the building on the corner with your name on the building. Then finally get the gray hair, get the retirement watch, get the cruise tickets, get the illness, and get the hell out. And that was the formula that my culture taught me, was the process by which life would be expressed and experienced. I call it, you know, the get the car, get the house, get the girl, get the job formula, which in fact, as it turns out, and by the way, I didn't learn this until I was 50 years old. Listen to what I just said. I didn't learn this until I was 50 years old, that the formula by which I was living my life had nothing to do with who I am or why I'm really here. Not surprisingly, my life was a complete mess. Broken relationships, lost jobs, moving from place to place and not even finding it possible to be satisfied and feel stable in any particular location or in any particular situation. Just flailing about, trying to figure out what's going on. What's this all about? And finally, in my 49th year, I woke up one night at 4:20 in the morning and fell to my knees in a combination of anxiety and frustration and actual anger. And I called out to God in the middle of the night. I'm living in a little apartment house. I mean, it was a little cottage, really, by myself, living by myself. And I was almost 50 years old. And I'm on the floor calling out to God. Either you give me some answers. Either you give me some answers, or I'm out of here. Because I'm not having any fun at all. I don't understand any of it. Help me make sense of it, or I'm out of here. And I was threatening myself to end my own life. And God, of course, was up there in heaven, calling all the angels, quickly, we got to do something. A world without Neale? We can't do that. Somebody do something. And all the angels came running. What should we do? God said, I don't know. You go. Wait a minute. Maybe I'll just talk to him. I'll talk to him. You guys can just relax. I should have had a conversation with this poor guy a long time ago. So I had my conversation with God. And I took notes. I wrote down everything that I was asking and all the answers that I was given. And 15 million people read those handwritten notes, translated into 37 languages. And it became one possible answer, not the answer, not the truth, but at least another way of looking at what's really happening, who we really are, and the whole process called life itself. And people have found that new way of looking at it, if nothing else, refreshing and igniting our interest in the question, not even in the answers that I was given or that I imagine myself to now understand, but igniting at least a deep urgency to keep asking the question. Wait a minute. Is it possible? Just possible that we don't have all the information here? That there's something we don't fully understand about all of this? The understanding of which would change everything. I call that the God solution. And that's what I've written about in my latest book. I'm sorry, I actually forgot the question you asked. I'm dangerous. You're going to ask me 30-second questions, and I'm going to give you 12-minute answers.
It's perfect. So your book, The God Solution, I understand is also about the technology of, got it written down.
Metaphysics. Yeah, the mechanics of metaphysics.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, yes, thank you. We have imagined for years that the way to use metaphysical power, if you please, the process that we loosely call metaphysics, is to control our thought. It's, what you think you create. And there's been a great movement on the planet for many years now to convince us that that's how it works. But what the God solution proposes is that actually that's not how it works. So it's not what you think. Embracing and demonstrating divinity is not what you think. And I mean that as a double entendre. It's not what you think, and it's not what you think, but it's in fact what you feel. That if we understand that the mechanics of metaphysics are about using feeling, which is the human word that we employ to define the receiving of, the passing through, and the sending outward from us of the fundamental energetic of the universe. The universe is composed or arises from a singular fundamental energy, which I'm going to suggest can be defined in human words, 2 human words: pure love, which I've discussed just a minute ago. Pure love is the kind of love that demands and requests and requires and needs nothing at all in return. This gives us a whole new idea of God, because most of the world's religions share with us a message that there is a God, but God does need and require and actually demand, that God commands certain things. And if we don't meet those commandments, we're going straight to hell. And among those commandments, we are told, is that we must belong to a particular religion. Not that religion, not that religion, not that religion, but this particular religion. And if we don't belong to that particular religion, even if we love God with all of our heart and all of our might, and even if we love each other profoundly, even if we are kind and compassionate and generous and patient with each other and forgiving, even if we're all of those things, it doesn't matter. We're going to hell because we chose the wrong religion. I mean, really? This is the deity in which we've allowed ourselves to believe? And not just recently, but for thousands of years. So what's occurring now is that, yeah, we are experiencing an awakening. We're an awakening from the long nightmare of humanity, waking us up sufficiently to at least ask the question, is there more data that we simply don't have? You know how I like to phrase it? I think that we are like children who have learned how to add and subtract. Okay, we're in 3rd or 4th grade, and we've learned addition and subtraction. And we think that's all there is to mathematics, because we've got the basics. But there's a little bit of information missing. I mean, there's more to the subject. There's more on this topic that we don't fully understand. So we are like children who have gotten some of the fundamental basics. All the world's great religions teach us wonderful fundamental basics. There's no question about that. That's why they've lasted as long as they've lasted. But are they complete? Is their message complete? Is it all the information that it would serve us to have in order for us to understand who we are and why we're here? And I've been told in conversations with God that the answer to that question is no. The religions are not wrong in the sense of being totally and completely inaccurate. We can point to wonderful messages in every one of the 427 holy scriptures on this planet. By the way, there are 2,600 different religions on the earth. And every one of them brings us many important insights and understandings about how we might live a life well and bring ourselves happiness and joy. But is that all there is to know? I don't think so. And one thing that we are invited now to explore is the possibility. Is it possible that God is really a feeling, not thinking, but feeling is the way to use metaphysics, to feel into, to become part of, the expression of the energetic of divinity, which is pure love. So can we find a way to love each other, both in personal, intimate relationships and in more broad-based relationships with friends and neighbors, and even with total strangers? Is it possible? Do you think it's possible for the human species to find a way to love its own members unconditionally without needing anything in return? You know, when I say that I love you, what do I mean? Do I mean that I love you because of what you are? Or am I trying to project that I love you because of who I am? When I love you because of who I am, then I love you purely. Because I don't love you because of who you are and what I might be able to get out of that. what would be the advantage for me? What would be the return, if I could put it this way, on my investment? But people get into relationships with each other, especially romantic relationships, for that very reason. They join with another person hoping to get something out of it. I hope that I can receive these benefits from declaring my love for you. But what if I declared my love for you with no need for any benefits of any kind? Can we believe in a God who loves us in exactly the same way? Who doesn't command us to do anything, to be anything, to say anything, to declare anything? Just loves us because of the way we are? Is it possible for human beings to love in that way? Let that be the question of this summit. Is it possible for human beings, females or males, to love each other and to love life itself, needing nothing in return? Well, there is one experience that women have that men cannot quite duplicate. It's called childbirth. And when a woman gives birth to her own baby and holds that baby in her arms for the first time, a baby that she birthed and gave life to, I promise you that she loves that baby, needing nothing in return, requiring nothing in response, expecting nothing, just loving the baby because that's who she is, the source of love. And, if you please, life. You want to know what the goddess is? The goddess is that aspect that lives in all of us, male and female alike, which understands that if we choose to demonstrate it, we can experience ourselves as the source of love and life for all those that we touch. I invite people to embrace a very daring idea. I tell people in my lectures and in my workshops, in my retreats and my seminars, in my written articles and in my books, I challenge people to walk down the street or simply walk through their house and to think a particular thought when they encounter someone else, whether it's a lover, a romantic partner, a friend, a member of the family, or a total stranger at the post office. To think this thought, I tell them, don't say it out loud because you probably will not be understood, but think it in your mind. I dare you to think this thought when you encounter anyone else. I have come that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly. Your life will be made better for my having passed this way. I promise you. That's the goddess energy and the God energy. That's the energetic of pure love. And I have this notion that if we were to live that way and step into that idea of ourselves and of our reason for being here, that our whole life would change virtually overnight. And that everything we've ever longed for or hoped for or imagined might be experienced by us would fall in on us virtually automatically. Someone else, of course, said this much more poetically than I will ever say it. He said, don't go around asking, how are we to eat? How are we to drink? What will we clothe ourselves with? Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. Was that an empty promise? I don't think so. Of course, I could be wrong about everything I've just said. I could be wrong about all of it. It's important for you to understand that I know that. This could all be just the wild imaginings of my own mind. So please hear me when I tell you, don't believe a word I'm saying to you. Believe what your own heart reveals to you as the highest truth of life, of God, and of you. Because I could be totally wrong, but I don't think so.
I love that. I love that, Neale. Thank you so much. That's been beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
I've been asked many times, what is the most important message, the most meaningful, impacting message of Conversations with God? And my answer is the same whenever I'm asked it on television or in the newspapers or at an event, at a lecture. The single most important message of Conversations with God, in my experience, is this. God said to me, Neale, your life is not about you. I know you think your life is about you. I got it. But your life is not about you. It's about everyone whose life you touch and the way in which you touch it. When you understand that, everything that you were stressing for, straining for, and striving for, when you thought your life was about you, will in fact, to repeat what I just said, fall in on you automatically. So if I would leave people with a final message, it would be this. Your life is not about you. You are whole, complete, and perfect just as you are. All you need to experience that is to express it. I could, of course, be wrong about all of this.
I always love your sense of humor and your humility and being so humble. All the wise teachers say, the more I know, the less I know, and I could be completely wrong. So that's how I know that you're authentic and you are aligned to the truth. I just resonate with everything that you've said tonight. Well, it's my evening and your morning, but yeah, I guess my I do have one more question, and this is for people that are really struggling right now, that are really angry and are losing loved ones. Like, do you have any wisdom or messages for them on how they can cope with their anger, with their kind of this separation that they feel with God?
First of all, don't deny your feelings. To deny your feelings will repress them. And repressed anger is really the most damaging kind of anger. So first of all, allow yourself to feel those emotions and to even give yourself permission in a safe and gentle way to express them, whether it's through just something you say out loud to God, God will hear you, or a letter that you write to God. My dear friends, that's where I came from in the beginning of my experience. I wrote a very angry letter to God. I was as angry as you are being described today. I sat down and I wrote the letter on a yellow legal pad. And have you ever written the letter when you're so angry that you can read the writing 8 pages deep because you're pressing so hard on the first page that you could turn 8 pages and still see the writing?
Yep,
Because
I've done that.
yeah, and that's what I was doing. Dear God, what does it take to make life work? So express your anger in a way that's safe and doesn't injure or hurt yourself or others, but let yourself at least get it out. And don't try to deny it, because what you resist persists. Yet what you look at clearly and completely disappears. That is, it ceases to have its illusory form. And the day will come when even the tragedies that many people have experienced, the loss of loved ones, the deprivation of their own personal freedoms in certain ways, the economic collapse that has affected many, many people around the world, the day will come when even these events will be seen by humanity as the wake-up call, the turning point, the moment when the shift and the change began to take place as humanity's events, the events that humanity has created, has, in a sense, forced us to look at life and its fundamental questions in a new way and to give those questions new answers. We're not there yet. We're in the middle of that process now. But I suspect and I predict that the day will come when we will have completed that process and we will look at these moments in time, including those tragedies that we have a right to feel sad and even angry about, that we will look at all of this as one of the most important evolutionary developments in the history of our species. I predict that, I believe it, and I could be wrong about all of this. But these are the beliefs by which I live my life. And it is what has caused me to experience peace and serenity, even in the midst of the same tragedies, the same loss of freedom, the same isolation that we are all undergoing. At the end of the day, in the final count, I confront a singular question. Who am I? And my answer is my life lived. Let that be your answer as well. And give it the best answer you ever imagined.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neale.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to share these moments with you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's been an absolute honor for both of us, equally.
Voila.
Thank you.